Now, in the last session, we had done what is commerce, and we had also done the functions of commerce and branches of commerce. Today, we are going to do what is trade. Now, trade is a very integral part of commerce. As you can see, trade means buying and selling of goods for a price. That means when we are selling or buying goods, we have to give money in exchange of that. Now, when we have to give a price for what we are selling or buying, it can either be in cash or it can be in credit. Okay, as you can see, for example, they have shown you an example. You can take milk either by giving cash or you can take milk either by using your card. Okay, so a transaction can happen for money, but it can be either for cash or for credit. Now, the person who is dealing in this business, who is doing the trading, is known as traders or merchants. Now, this trader is a middleman. He's kind of a link between the producer and the consumer. I hope you remember we had done under the function hindrance of people. Remember? And I had explained you that there's a problem between an obstacle between both of them, producer and consumer. The producer doesn't know whom to sell the product, and the consumer doesn't know from where to get the product. So who will remove that hindrance? The trader. The trader is a middleman between both of them. He will make a contact with the manufacturer or the producer to get the goods, and he will sell it to the consumer. So trader is considered as a link between producer and a consumer. Now, the trade also supports production of goods on large scales and also helps in distributing the goods to the consumer, which are spread at far off places. So trade is very important for distributing the goods, for buying and selling of goods for a price. Now, trade is two types. Just have a look. We have internal trade and we have external trade. I think from the name itself, you can understand what is internal trade. Any idea what do you mean by internal trade? We also call it home trade or domestic trade. Who will tell me what do you mean by internal trade? Yes, children?
Ma'am?
Yes, Akshit?
Ma'am, Ritika.
Okay, Ritika, yes?
Ma'am, I think internal
Children, somebody has unmuted their mic. Please mute it. There's a lot of disturbance coming in. Yes.
Internal trade means the trade which is within the country.
Absolutely correct. Who's that?
Ritika.
Okay, Kritika, very good answer. Yes, absolutely correct. Internal trade means buying and selling of goods and services within the same country. That means within the geographical boundaries of the same country. Now, you have to understand that both the buyer and seller belongs to the same country. And even the trading happens in the home currency. For example, if the trading is happening in India, both the buyer and seller will belong to India only, and the currency is rupee. Okay, so trading happens within the country. It is both the buyer and seller are from the same country, and even the payment which is made in trade is in the home currency. So what keywords you will write down first is buying and selling of goods in the same country. Both buyer and seller also same country, and payment is also done in the home currency. I hope I'm clear with this. Okay, now under internal trade also, it is further divided into two categories. One is wholesale trade and the other one is retail trade. Am I sure that you all must be familiar with this word wholesale or a wholesaler? Have you heard this word before? Okay, according to you, any idea what you mean by wholesaler or a wholesale trade?
Ma'am?
Yes?
Can I answer?
Yes, yes.
Ma'am, wholesale trade is where you sell goods at a large scale. I mean, and retail is when you sell it in directly to the consumer at a small quantities.
Okay, yes, nearly correct. Yes, wholesale trade means when you are buying goods in bulk. What is the word which we use? It is bulk. So when buying of goods is in bulk from the manufacturer and selling them in large quantity to the retailers, this is known as wholesale trade. So that means a wholesaler is there. He is a person engaged in this business, and he is a link between producer and retailer. I hope you know who is a retailer. Yes, retailer is the shopkeepers. Okay, retailers are the shopkeepers. So the wholesaler is a link between the producer and the retailer. And please remember here the important keyword is bulk. Here buying of goods is happening in bulk. It is happening in a large quantity. Am I clear, children? Yes? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Next we have is retail trade. Retail trade is buying of goods from the wholesaler and manufacturer and selling them in small quantity to the consumer. So a person who's involved in retail trade is known as a retailer, and he is a link between wholesaler and the consumer. Now here it is different. In wholesale trade, we were buying in bulk from the manufacturer. But here in the retail trade, the retailer is buying from the wholesaler and he's selling in small quantities to the consumer. That means the retailer, when you go to a shop, you normally buy in small quantity. Fine, you buy 5 pencils or 2 pencils or 2 pens. You don't buy 100 pens. You don't buy in bulk. You always buy in small quantity. So the consumer normally buys in the small quantity, and retailer is the link between the wholesaler and the consumer. All right, children, are you clear, children? All right. Any doubt till here in internal trade and the types of internal trade? Okay. Next we have is external trade. Now, what do you mean by external trade? What do you mean by external trade? Internal trade is very clear. What do you mean by external trade? Yes.
It's the trade with other countries.
Absolutely correct. When we have buying and selling of goods and services between different countries. Absolutely correct. Now in this trade, the seller and buyer are of different countries. And even the payment is made in the currency of the other person. All right. Now this is also known as foreign trade or also known as international trade. Now our external trade is of 3 types. You can see we have import trade, we have export trade, and we have interport trade. Now I'm very sure you all are familiar with the words import and export. Okay, what do you mean by import?
Buying something from a country and then getting it in your own country.
Okay, can you give me any example? What is India importing from other countries? Any one example? Yes?
Oil.
We import oil from UAE.
Absolutely correct. Yes, India is importing oil from the Saudi countries. Yes, so that is import. That means when we are purchasing goods and services from other country, and a very good example is petroleum. Very good, Panani. Next is export. What do you mean by export? I want others to answer. Anya, what do you mean by export?
Ma'am, when we are selling,
Ma'am, export is when you're selling the thing to another country.
Excellent. And can you give me one example? What is
Ma'am, spices. India exports spices.
excellent answer? Very good. Yes, absolutely. So export is selling goods and services to other country, and very good example Anya has given. We have many other examples. India is exporting tea, wheat, rice to many other foreign countries. Yes, Akshat, you've raised your hand.
ma'am, like I have a question, ma'am.
Yes, yes.
Ma'am, so the trade which happens, is it in the currency of like the which country current? In which country's currency?
for
Is it in
example,
US dollar or something?
No, for example, if it is export, right? If India
Yes.
is exporting, so the other country will make payment in the currency of India.
Okay. Ma'am, but
we are-
usually
yes.
US dollar is used, right?
Yeah, yes, it is as per the agreement of the export or import.
Okay, ma'am.
Sometimes they do it in that this thing also, because you know, for example, if India is in need of other country currency, as you know that India wants to have foreign exchange, so even it can take in dollars. That depends upon the deal between the exporter and the importer.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so normally it happens in the currency. It differs from the agreement to agreement. It can happen in the dollars, but if some particular exporter or importer want in his particular currency, then through foreign exchange we can do that.
Okay, ma'am.
All right. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
We come to the third part of the trade, that is the interport trade. Now in this, what we do is we import goods from one or more countries and then we export it to the other countries. A simple example is, as you all know, that Sri Lanka is not, Sri Lanka doesn't have a production of its own. It doesn't have things which they produce on their own. So what they do is they import goods from India, they purchase goods from India, and then they export it to the other countries like Bangladesh and Malaysia and all those countries. So that is your interport trade. That means purchasing or importing goods from one country, and the purpose is to export it to the other country. Yes, I can see some children raising their hand. You can ask me one by one. Yes, children?
Ma'am, interport trade would be
Are interdependent on each other. Now, as you can see, industry provides the base for commerce. Unless the goods are produced in industry, there cannot be any distribution by commerce. Okay, so commerce depend on industry. So it is very important the goods which are produced in industry, they have to be distributed by commerce. So if industry is not available, commerce cannot do anything. Similarly, industry cannot function without commerce. If industry produces goods and services, but there is nobody to distribute them, that means commerce is not there to distribute them, then industrial production is meaningless. The goods will be just lying there, no use, because they are not being sold. So similarly, for industry, commerce is also very important. So both of them are dependent on each other. So we can say if industry which produces goods is a backbone of commerce, then commerce which leads to distribution of goods is a lifeline of industry. They both are dependent on each other. They both cannot survive in absence of any one of them. All right. Then we come to trade. Since industry and commerce are important, they also need somebody who should buy and sell the goods. So who help them? Trade helps them. So trade also depends upon industry for goods. Same time, the trade also provides support to industry by maintaining a link between the producer and the consumer. As I just mentioned when we were doing trade, that the trader is a link between the producer and the consumer. So if trade is not there, there'll be nobody to connect between the manufacturer, connect the manufacturers with the consumer. So similarly, trade is also important to give support to industry and commerce for the smooth flow of goods from the manufacturer to the consumer. So all three of them are equally dependent on each other, and in absence of any one of them, survival of the other two is not possible. Children, am I clear with this? Yes, children? Any doubt between the interrelationship between trade, commerce and industry?
Ma'am,
Yes?
ma'am, I'm not completely clear. If you can summarize it once more?
I'll see. I hope you all remember that industry produces goods. Yes?
Yes.
So if the goods are produced and they are lying in the industry, there has to be somebody to go and sell the goods outside.
Yes.
So who will help them to get connected to the consumers? Just now we have done the
Commerce.
no, connected to the consumers.
Trade.
Link between the consumer, manufacturer and consumer. Who's the link between them?
Shopkeeper.
Trader. Okay, so trader is a link between the producer and the consumer. So that means we need trade to sell goods. Yes, so trade is important part of industry is depending on trade. Correct?
Yes.
Now, who will distribute the goods? That means who will help them with transportation and banking and insurance? Who will help them?
Commerce.
Commerce.
Absolutely correct. So that means industry is dependent on commerce also.
Yes.
So industry is dependent on both the two things, that is commerce and trade. Without both of them, industry cannot survive. And it's
Yes.
now, if commerce is there to give you transportation, insurance and everything, if industry does not produce goods, what will commerce do? To whom commerce will provide these services? Nobody, right? So commerce is also dependent upon industry, because if they don't produce goods, commerce will not be able to give their services. The trader will not be able to do anything if the goods are not produced. So all three of them are dependent on each other. Industry is dependent on commerce and trade for buying and selling of goods which the industry is producing. Commerce is dependent on industry, because if industry doesn't produce goods, commerce cannot send anything anywhere. Similarly, trade is also dependent on industry, because if there are no goods, trade cannot do buying and selling. Am I clear?
Okay. Yes, ma'am.
If you see these two boxes which I have shown you in the slide, industry, production of goods, correct? Commerce
Yes.
is doing what? Distribution of goods. That means through transportation and warehousing and other facilities, correct? And I'm showing you trade is buying and selling of goods. If you see, all three of them are meaningless without one another. If one is absent, the other two cannot function. So that means they all are interdependent on each other.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Anybody else who has a doubt? Children, anybody else? Is everybody clear? All right. So I'll proceed to the next topic. The next topic is difference between industry, commerce, and trade. As I've already told you that whenever you have to write a difference, it has to be in a tabular form, the way it is shown here. You have to write basis of distinction in a long answer. So we'll start with the first one, industry, commerce, and trade. The first one is activities involved. I have just told you, industry is concerned with production of goods. You can underline production of goods. That's a keyword here. Commerce is related to trade and aids to trade, or we call them auxiliaries to trade. Okay, so underline trade and auxiliaries to business activities or aids to trade. Third one is trade. Now trade, please underline sale, transfer, or exchange of goods for a price. So these are the three, the meaning of all three of them. Next we come to creation of utility. The first one is industry creates firm utility. I hope you all remember when we say firm utility means converting raw materials into finished product. Do you all remember? Yes, children? Okay, so firm utility, how it creates firm utility? By converting raw material into finished goods, either by extracting or multiplying the resources. Then commerce is creating different types of utilities. We have done in the functions of commerce, like removing hindrance of person, removing hindrance of finance, all those things. So commerce is creating utilities of person, time, place, risk, finance, and information. Now I'm going to ask you people how it is removing all these hindrances by what? Okay, Siddharth, can you tell me how commerce is removing the hindrance of person? Through whom? Siddharth, are you there? Siddharth? Children, if you don't answer and if you don't switch on your videos, I'm going to remove you from the session.
Yeah. Sorry, ma'am. I couldn't hear your question, ma'am. What did you ask, ma'am?
We were doing now under creation of utility, under trade. Trade is creating person utility because the trader is there who is a link between the producer and the consumer. Next point is capital or investment. As you can see, since industry is involved with production of goods, the large amount of money or capital is required. In commerce, comparatively, less capital is required because the investment is less as compared to industry. And in trade, again, there is less capital required because he's just a link between two people. He doesn't have to invest too much. Okay. Now, it also depends from trader to trader. If the trader is a small trader, his investment will be less. If the trader is a big one, a big wholesaler, then his investment will be more. Then we come to the next point, that is elements of risk. Again, in industry, because the money involved is more, so the risk is high. In commerce, the money involved is less as compared to industry, so automatically the risk is also less. Similarly, in trade also, the risk is less as compared to industry. Children, am I clear till here? Any doubt? Okay, now the next point is dependence. We have just done it, the interdependence between three of them. Industry depends on commerce, commerce depends upon industry, and trade depends upon both of them. All right, next we have is examples. You can see the examples under the industry. We've already done under industry many examples. There's sugarcane industry, we have iron and steel industry, then we have automobile industry. Commerce, we have commercial banks, we have warehouses, we have insurance companies, we have banking, all these things. Under trade, we have wholesalers, retailers, okay, exporters and importers. So children, you can learn any 5 points. Yes, Mayuk, you raised your hand.
Ma'am, if a business involves too much risk, then will the insurance company give insurance?
No, if the trader takes the insurance, then only they will give insurance.
Okay.
You get only if you take the insurance policy.
Okay.
On their own, they will not come, because when you take insurance, you have to pay them premium. You have to pay an installment to them.
Oh.
Okay. So if the trader feels that he needs to take insurance, he will take the insurance, and in case of any theft or any risk thing, the insurance company will pay him.
Okay.
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, in this table, the sixth point, that is examples, that will not counted as points, right?
No, it is not counted as point, but if in the question they ask you distinguish between 3 of them with an example, then definitely example will carry 1 mark.
Okay. So we'll have to learn all the points then here.
Yes, 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 yes. Okay, any other doubt, children? Children, we are completing with this topic of industry, commerce and trade. Our next topic is organization, firm and company. So before I proceed to that, any doubt in any of these topics which we have just covered up? Okay, now I'll go to the next topic.
Ma'am,
Topic is organization, firm and company. Now, if you see the meaning of organization, group of people who join together to achieve some common objective is known as organization. That means when few people come together and with their main objective is same, all of them have a similar common objective, they can form an organization. Firm, any individual or a group undertaking some business is known as a firm. That means it can be one single person also who can carry on a business, or it can be a group of people also together carry on business. They are known as firm. Next is company. I think this word you all are familiar with. You must have heard company. The word company means group of people working together and they are registered as a legal entity. That means they have to get themselves registered under the Companies Act. We have an act, Companies Act. If you want to form a company, you have to register yourself under the Companies Act as a legal entity, means as a separate business. That is known as a company. You will understand all of them when we do them in detail. Children, are you clear? Any doubt? So when I say organization, this means group of people coming together. If you can see the examples down, like University of Delhi, Mumbai University, Big Bazaar. That means a group of people are coming together. What is the purpose of Big Bazaar? To sell the consumer products to the people. Okay. Firm can be anything. One single person running a shop or two people in partnership running a shop. That will be a firm. What is a company? Group of people coming together and running a company. That means, like, example is your Air India, Coca-Cola, ICICI Bank. All these are examples of all of them. I think somebody raised her hand. I think it was Manasvi. You had a doubt, Manasvi?
Yeah, ma'am. If a company is not registered, so technically it is illegal, right? They have
Yes.
to register.
First thing is, if you want to become a company, you have to register yourself. It's mandatory.
Yeah, but the same thing applies for organization and firm too.
No. You can see the second point, may or may not be registered.
Okay, fine, ma'am. Thank you.
If you want to form a company, it is mandatory that you have to register yourself under the Companies Act. Our next 3 chapters are based on firm and company only. You will understand it in a much better way. We have chapters on firm and company. Okay, any other doubt, children?
ma'am, I didn't understand the difference between organization and company.
Okay, I will explain you. If you see the third point, can you just see the third point? Nature
Yes,
of
ma'am.
organization can be commercial and can be non-commercial. Okay, that means an organization can be commercial, means with a profit motive. Non-commercial means non-profit motive.
Non-profit motive.
Okay. Second thing is, in organization, it can be registered, it cannot be. It is your wish. Okay, you may register yourself or you may not. So there's an option for that. But if you form a company, it is mandatory that you have to register yourself. If it is not registered, it is not a company. Okay, that is the major difference.
Ma'am?
Yes?
Ma'am, in the third point,
Yes.
the company can be commercial or non-commercial.
Yes, yes, yes.
But ma'am, why will a company be non-commercial? It wants to make profit at every...
Absolutely correct. Can you see the example of Air India?
Yes, ma'am.
Air India is which company?
Ma'am, it's an airline company.
Airline company. So Air India, the main purpose of Air India is what? To serve the people. If you see the prices of Air India fare is less than